I thought I was getting stronger at 50 miles a week. My watch said I was improving. My body said I was quietly falling apart. What I discovered next made me question everything I thought I knew about endurance, and it might change the way you train forever. I remember the exact morning it hit me. I had just logged my fifth straight week at 50 miles. On paper, I was becoming the most disciplined version of myself. The numbers were clean. The graph was rising. Everything looked like progress. But my body told a different story. My heart rate variability was quietly dropping. I was waking up exhausted after 8 hours of sleep. A dull ache had settled into my shins like it was paying rent. And for the first time, I caught myself wondering something that genuinely scared me. What if I'm not getting stronger? What if I'm slowly breaking? That question wouldn't leave me alone, because 50 miles is supposed to mean fitness. It's supposed to mean durability, control momentum. So why did I feel more fragile than ever? That's when I began to suspect something unsettling. Maybe the body doesn't care about miles at all. If you're someone who wants to understand what's really happening beneath your training data, subscribe to the channel. I'm documenting this journey as I uncover it. Because what I discovered next completely changed how I define progress. That suspicion forced me to question something I had never questioned before. What if mileage is just a comforting illusion? For years, I treated weekly volume like a scoreboard. 50 miles meant I was serious. 60 meant I was evolving. The higher the number, the more legitimate I felt. It was clean, measurable, and socially validated. But the body isn't impressed by round numbers. It doesn't recognize 50 as an achievement. It responds to stress. When I started digging deeper, I realized my physiology was reacting not to distance, but to three currencies I had never properly accounted for: mechanical load, neurological drain, and allostatic stress. Every foot strike sends force through bone and tendon. Every hard effort taxes the central nervous system. Every session shifts hormones and immune signaling in ways that aren't visible on a GPS watch. I had been managing arithmetic, not biology, and that's a dangerous mismatch, because arithmetic always looks clean. Biology never is. The unsettling truth was this: 2 weeks with identical mileage could produce completely different outcomes inside the body. One could build resilience, the other could quietly accumulate strain. And I had no system for telling the difference. That realization made me revisit the run I used to dismiss as pointless: the slow, steady aerobic base day. There was a time when I couldn't tolerate how easy it felt. Running at a true Zone 2 pace felt like holding back. I'd look at my watch and feel almost embarrassed by the numbers. So I would subtly accelerate, convincing myself that a little faster meant a little better. What I didn't understand was that I was stepping out of the very zone designed to build the engine. At a genuinely controlled aerobic pace, something precise happens beneath the surface. A molecular signal, PGC1 alpha, activates and tells the body to build more mitochondria. Not metaphorically, literally. More cellular power plants. Fat becomes the primary fuel source. Lactate remains manageable. Stress hormones stay stable. The nervous system operates calmly, efficiently, without panic. When I finally respected that pace, I noticed something surprising. I finished feeling better than when I started. Recovery was quick. Within a day, I felt stable again, not depleted. That's when it clicked for me. This wasn't a lazy run. It was structural work. Quiet, disciplined construction. Not flashy, not ego-driven, but foundational in a way speed alone can never be. But the clarity I found in those calm aerobic runs made the contrast with my interval days impossible to ignore. Speed work felt intoxicating. The rhythm of hard repeats, the sharp focus, the sense of power, it made me feel like a real athlete. During those sessions, I wasn't questioning anything. I was chasing splits, pushing pace, testing limits, and in the moment, it felt productive. What I didn't see was the invisible cost accumulating underneath. When I crossed into high-intensity territory, my body shifted gears completely. Glycogen became the dominant fuel source because fat simply couldn't supply energy fast enough. Hydrogen ions built up, breathing intensified. My nervous system flipped into fight-or-flight mode. Cortisol and adrenaline weren't background noise anymore. They were leading the orchestra. To hold those paces, my brain recruited fast-twitch fibers that aren't built for repeated endurance strain. The force through my legs increased dramatically with each step. And although I could finish the workout feeling accomplished, the next 2 days often told a different story. My HRV would dip. My legs felt heavy in a way that wasn't just soreness, it was systemic fatigue. I realized intervals weren't just harder runs. They were high-cost biological events. Powerful, yes, but never free. And yet, as intense as intervals were, nothing exposed the illusion of mileage more than the long run. The pace wasn't aggressive. On paper, it looked almost identical to my easy days. But somewhere past the 90-minute mark, the experience changed in a way I couldn't ignore. The rhythm that once felt smooth started to feel hollow. Not dramatic, just subtly strained. That shift, I learned, wasn't mental weakness. It was a metabolic reality. As glycogen stores in my muscles and liver declined, my body had to compensate. Cortisol rose to mobilize additional fuel. Muscle tissue itself could become part of the equation. Inflammatory signals increased. I began to understand why I sometimes felt run down 2 days later, as if my immune system had been quietly taxed. There was also a mechanical dimension I had underestimated. After thousands upon thousands of foot strikes, stabilizing muscles fatigued. When slow twitch fibers began to tire, my nervous system recruited fibers less suited for prolonged aerobic work. Efficiency declined. Impact stress subtly increased. The long run wasn't just about endurance, it was about resource management. And if I didn't respect that cost with fueling, recovery, and spacing, it wasn't building resilience. It was accumulating strain. When I finally laid these 3 workouts side by side, the pattern became impossible to ignore. It wasn't that any single session was inherently wrong. It was how I was combining them. My easy days often drifted too fast, quietly adding stress instead of facilitating recovery. My interval sessions were scheduled by calendar logic, not nervous system readiness. My long runs were sometimes approached with discipline and distance, but carelessness in fueling and recovery strategy. From the outside, it looked structured. From the inside, it was chaotic. The recurring fatigue, the small injuries, the immune dips, they weren't random setbacks. They were feedback signals. My body wasn't failing me. It was reporting an imbalance. I just didn't know how to read the report. What shifted for me was understanding that adaptation isn't created by stacking effort. It's created by dosing stress precisely and then protecting the recovery window just as deliberately. Mechanical load, neurological strain, hormonal stress, these aren't abstract concepts. They accumulate. I had been chasing volume as proof of commitment. But commitment without calibration isn't discipline, it's guesswork. And endurance, I realized, is less about how much you can do and more about how intelligently you can recover. That realization forced me to confront a harder question than pace or mileage ever did. Was I actually training, or was I just accumulating fatigue? For a long time, I equated feeling worn down with progress. If I ended the week tired, I assumed I had done enough. But fatigue alone doesn't prove adaptation. It only proves that stress was applied. Adaptation is something more specific. It requires a signal strong enough to stimulate change, followed by recovery deep enough to allow that change to take root. When I began looking at my training through that lens, I noticed something uncomfortable. Some weeks, I wasn't building capacity. I was simply surviving. My nervous system stayed slightly elevated. My legs never fully felt fresh. My sleep was adequate, but not restorative. There's a difference between being productively challenged and being chronically strained, and I had blurred that line. Training, I've come to believe, isn't about how much discomfort you can tolerate. It's about how strategically you apply stress so the body responds by becoming more resilient, not more fragile. That distinction changed the way I interpret every single run. So I started holding myself to a different standard, not a higher mileage target, a higher level of precision. Easy days now have a clear purpose, and I protect that purpose. If the goal is aerobic development and nervous system stability, I keep it there, even when my ego wants to push. High-intensity sessions are no longer squeezed in because the calendar says Tuesday. They're placed where recovery and readiness align. Long runs are supported with deliberate fueling, so I'm training endurance, not unnecessary depletion. I've also begun paying attention to internal signals with the same seriousness I once reserved for splits and pace. Trends in recovery metrics, sleep quality, subtle shifts in mood, those are data too. I'm not claiming perfection, I'm still learning. But I no longer see myself as someone chasing miles. I'm trying to become someone who understands the biological cost of each one and trains accordingly. And when I zoom out now, the message feels almost unsettling in its simplicity. 50 miles can mean growth, or it can mean a quiet breakdown. The distance itself is neutral. What matters is the biological conversation happening underneath each session. Force traveling through tissue, signals moving through the nervous system, hormones adjust to perceived threat or stability. That invisible dialogue is what ultimately determines whether I'm building durability or accumulating strain. I used to believe consistency was about never missing miles. Now I believe consistency is about respecting physiology. My watch still tracks distance, I still care about pace, but those numbers no longer define progress for me. They're just surface data. What defines progress is whether my body is adapting without being chronically overwhelmed. 50 miles is not 50 miles, and once you truly understand that, you can't train the same way again. When I look back at how I used to train, I realized I wasn't lacking effort, I was lacking awareness. I thought progress was a matter of accumulation. More miles, more intensity, more grit. But the body doesn't reward accumulation. It rewards intelligent stress, followed by intentional recovery. The real cost of every workout isn't measured in distance, but in how deeply it disrupts or develops your biology. Once I understood that, training stopped being a test of toughness and became a practice of precision. The deeper lesson goes beyond running naggingly. In work, relationships, and personal growth, more effort isn't always better. Sustainable progress comes from applying the right stress at the right time and protecting recovery just as fiercely. Here's a simple question. Have you ever confused exhaustion with progress? I'd genuinely love to hear your experience. Please share it in the comments so we can learn from each other. And if this perspective helped you think differently, consider subscribing to support the channel and keep these conversations going.